Hey guys, welcome back. So we are now going to look at the best practices for prompt engineering. But let's assume that even if you don't use prompt engineering, uh, the best practices you would still get what you want. But the idea here is uh, since the language model follows instruction based training on the data, they are so they respond to specific prompts particularly well and align with the language task that they are expected to do. But when we here in this series, we'll be providing the ideal prompts to use to get what you want. But if they are not exactly what you are looking for, you are free to use whatever you want. So let's look at the first example here. So when I say prompt here, so it's just in the playground. You can look at a set of preset one here. So you can look at Q&A here, what to ask in a prompt. When you train it, what stop words to set. You can already look into it in the next series. You will be looking at each of this parameter. What do they imply? So the first one, what we recommend is, let's say, use the latest language model. So what do I mean by this? So for best results, it is recommended to use the latest and the most capable model. So let's assume there was, what I mean here is, let's say we had DaVinci 1 versus we had DaVinci 3 or anything older. So it's always recommended to use the latest version of DaVinci versus the previous version. So that's what it's implying. And but this is in the playground. In playground, we always have the latest, but whenever you are using it through an API, it's always recommended to use the latest version. You can also use the older version, but it's always recommended to use the latest version. So apart from this, put instructions at the beginning of the prompt and use some sort of delimiter like three hyphen, like three hashes or three codes to separate the instruction and the context. So if you just basically say summarize the text below as a bullet point and list the most important points and input text below, summarize the text as a bullet point and list the most important points, you are adding it within three hashes or three codes. This is more effective than the first one. That's all we are implying. And in the next one, so let's basically say be specific, descriptive, and as detailed as possible about the desired context, outcome, length, format, and style. So write a poem about OpenAI versus write an is not that effective versus write a short inspiring poem about OpenAI focusing on DALL-E 2 product launch. DALL-E 2 is a text to image ML model in style of a famous poet. In the poet, you can basically say Shakespeare or anyone you want, right? So any poet, there are so many poets globally, you can pick anyone you want. And the next one is articulate the desired output format through examples. So if you basically say extract the entities mentioned in the text below, extract the four entities, company name, people, specific, and topics, versus extract the important entities in the text below. First extract all the company names, then all the people names, then extract specific topics that fit the content, and finally extract general overarching themes. So here we are actually listing company names to be comma separated, people names to be separated by two slashes, specific topics to be separated by two topics, general themes to be separated by two topics, and then we are providing the input text. And after this, let's basically say, so here, if you read about language models, there is zero shot, few shot, and then fine tune. So the idea here is, in the first one, basically start from extract the text for the below text and give an example and keywords you are looking for. And in the next one, basically extract the words from the following text below. Stripe provides API that developers use to integrate payment into their website and mobile applications. Keyword 1, Stripe payment processing APIs, developers, websites, and mobile applications. Similarly, you can provide another example. Here we have it something about Open API, and then you can provide the third text and provide the keyword list, or even if you don't provide the keyword list, you should get it back. And coming back to the next one, so this is the more complex one. So here, if you want, I have provided you an example here. So in this example, you can actually look at examples they have done here. And we also have the OpenAI documentation. So if you want to read through this in advanced and what to do in specific scenarios, this would be an ideal page to read through and familiarize yourself about this. And I've also attached the GitHub repo here. I think I should have it open here. 1 minute. Yeah. I think there is a Word doc here which basically goes into more detail on the best practices for the advanced use case scenario. And after this, let's basically say reduce fluffy and imprecise descriptions. What we mean by this? So the less effective way of describing this is the description for this product should be fairly short, a few sentences and not too much more. Use 3 to 5 sentence paragraphs to describe a product. So be specific what you want rather than being generic. That's what this implies. And after this, instead of just saying what not to do, say what to do instead. So the following is a conversation. Do not ask username or password. Do not repeat. Customer, I can't log into my account. Agent, it should not ask his username and password. So the better way of doing is there is a conversation between agent and a customer. The agent will attempt to diagnose a problem and suggest a solution while restraining from asking any questions related to password. Instead of asking password such as username or personal information, PII is personal information, or identity such as username, password after the user to help the article here. So that's basically one more rule here. And after this, the next one is code generation specific. So use leading keywords to nudge the model towards a pattern. So the less effective way is write a simple Python function to ask me for a number of mile. It converts miles to kilometer. So the code below is adding import hints to the model that it should write this in Python. So similarly, select is a good hint for for an SQL statement. So that's basically what it's asking here. Write a Python function, ask for a number in mile, it converts miles to kilometer, then there is import here. And that's basically what I had here. And I will also be looking at in the next one. Yeah, we are looking in detail to each of these parameters, so you can go ahead and understand what these parameters are in your model. But this one was just focusing on the prompt, what to ask, what not to ask. And there is also a marketplace for prompt. If you don't want to get through all this for a specific use case, you can buy a prompt from that marketplace, or if you are very good at creating prompts, you can also sell your prompt. We will be looking at that in the follow-up videos. As always, thank you for joining.